Okay, so quarantine made me do it. I've been a proponent of real books over ebooks for years now, but with libraries being closed for God knows how long, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get Kindle for myself to read and get my sleeping patterns back on track. And reading books on a Kindle in this lockdown has made me realize why this thing is so popular. It's thinner, lighter, and smaller than a book, but most importantly, it's more convenient than a book. Okay, so the reason to get an e-reader in the first place, instead of burning your eyes on your phone or a computer, is the e-ink screen. Text on an e-ink display looks like it's printed on paper, and more importantly, the screen doesn't emit any light, but instead reflects. So the Kindle comes with a 6-inch touchscreen e-ink display, and I'm gonna be honest here, the screen does look kind of dated at first. First, it's black and white, and second, the refresh rate is slow, so don't expect to do anything other than read on this thing. And for reading, the text looks alright. While I cannot see the pixels, looking closely, it does kind of seem hazy. It's definitely not as sharp as a computer or a phone screen. Okay, this Kindle comes with a 167 ppi display, while the Paperwhite comes with a 300 ppi screen that's sharper than this. So illustrations in general are kind of fuzzy on this one. It's blurry but not pixelated, more like newspaper versus magazine. Now another benefit of e-ink, it doesn't have to fight to keep up the brightness to be legible outside. So going outdoors, the screen actually looks better. That is if you can avoid the glare. While it's much less reflective than glass on your phone, outdoor glare is real on this thing. And coming indoors, that built-in light makes a world of difference, not only at night but also during the day. Having a built-in light means you don't have to be in the perfect lighting conditions to read comfortably. It still looks the best with a lamp on, but it's more than readable in imperfect settings. There are 4 LEDs down here that side-lit the display, and because of that, the lighting is not uniform. And I do kind of see that, but you get over it pretty quickly, and I have it at level 10 most of the times. You can also completely turn it off. Now, as good as the screen is compared to other displays, it's not identical to read on a Kindle versus a paperback. First thing is, the display is smaller than most books, so the page layout is altered and you end up turning way more pages. Second is contrast or lack thereof. It's not much less than print, but enough to notice, and it could do with some color. But above all that, real books have character that is distinctly missing on a Kindle. Maybe I'll get used to it, but it's just nicer to read a paperback than a Kindle. Now, I think one of the main reasons for this lack of character is the typography of the book. From the font to the spacing between letters to the spacing in the margins, much is lost when a book gets converted to digital. And while I love having control over the font size, it means there's virtually no layout design for the book. Okay, starting with the setup, it was a breeze, except I had to enter my Amazon password manually, even when I had selected it to be linked to my account while ordering. And it was this long Safari generated one, which was kind of a pain to enter, although typing on the touchscreen was better than I thought. Okay, so the homepage looks like this. You have library to the right, your reading list to the left, and recommendations down below. You have these buttons up top to go home or go back, or access the store or settings. Okay, inside your library, you can sort your books and docs as a list or a grid. The check mark at the bottom tells you if the book is on device or not, and the percentage read is displayed to the top right. Inside the book, you tap left or right to turn pages, and at the top for other options. You can press and hold to highlight words. You can also pinch to zoom to increase or decrease the font size. Brightness can be changed from up here in settings. And other display settings include fonts, page spacing and margins, along with orientation and text alignment. You can also have your progress at the bottom and enable the clock while reading. One weird thing is there are no page numbers inside the book, but instead location numbers. That's because there really are no pages and the book adapts to the font size you choose. Now, if you want to move quickly through the book, you can do that with a slider or jump to a section or page number. And while books resume from where you left off, you can create a bookmark or take notes from up there. And once you're done reading, this button at the bottom puts it in sleep mode. Yeah, it displays these random images at the lock screen. It would be cool if there was an option to display the book cover of the last read book, but there isn't. And when you're back again, it will sometimes take 5 seconds to wake up. This can be disabled in power settings, but it's on by default. There are also a number of other features like X-ray and word-wise, but tapping and holding on a word to bring up its definition is the most useful. It does take a few seconds, but you can also look up on Wikipedia or even see translations. That's easily the best part of reading on a Kindle. And all the words you look up are stored in Vocabulary Builder. It also integrates flashcards, which is perfect. Note that some of these features only work with books bought on the Kindle store. And talking of Kindle store, it's honestly one of the main reasons to go with a Kindle instead of other e-readers. Because an e-reader is only as good as the books you read on it. And when you're buying an e-reader, you're buying into an ecosystem. Amazon has the largest collection of books, and you're more likely to find the book you're looking for on the Kindle store than anywhere else. It's incredibly easy to find and buy books on the device itself. Not really surprising given it's Amazon. The store is fully functional with search, reviews and the stuff, and you don't have to go on another device to get books. They've also got Prime Reading, where you get access to a collection of books bundled with your Prime subscription. Then there's Kindle Unlimited, which has an even larger catalog for a monthly subscription. While it does look like a great deal for someone who reads a lot, I'm fairly selective of the books I read, but this might be something to look into. It already sometimes feels like you don't really own the book, so might as well go for a subscription. And once you are in an ecosystem, you likely end up sticking with it because of the whole DRM thing, which means you cannot transfer your books to another e-reader platform down the line. Okay, the other way to get books on your Kindle is to email them. This document delivery service currently supports these file types with experimental support for PDFs. Just send your PDF with the subject convert to your Kindle's email address. This conversion is not 100% accurate though, but mostly okay. Or you can directly connect your Kindle to a computer and copy files over USB. But then you gotta know your formats. EPUB, the standard for ebooks, is not supported on Kindle. So you'll have to convert the files either on a computer using Calibre or use an online converter. What I found is the translation from EPUB to Mobi is good but not perfect, at least with the online service I used. And with anything you import over email, you lose some of the features like X-ray and text formatting options on the Kindle. Also, I've noticed many of the books in the public domain are sold on the Kindle directly. Like take this book for example, Think and Grow Rich. It's a book by Napoleon Hill that is in public domain, and you've got several here that are charging for it. So it's possible that some of the books on the Kindle store are available for free outside the Kindle store. Last of all, some local libraries also support ebook rentals on Kindle, so check with your library if they do. Mine don't. Okay, let's talk hardware. This 10th generation Kindle is the smallest they make. It has this hard plastic body that feels light but not cheap. It's not exactly premium also, but is comfortably lightweight in hand. The bezels are tiny on this thing compared to older Kindles. They are almost too small to have a good grip, but after a few days of accidental touches, I do enjoy the smaller footprint. Also, I went with the white version, and while it looks good, I probably would have returned it for a black. Yeah, white looks better everywhere, but I think I would prefer black for reading. There's 4 GB of memory, out of which less than 3 is usable. But don't worry, ebooks in general are about half an MB in size, so you can easily store more than 1,000 offline. Micro USB charging is another thing you'll have to deal with, but it's not bad. I charge mine once a week with about an hour of reading every day. This version of Kindle that I have retails for about $100 depending on where you live, and it's definitely more expensive than buying physical books unless you read hundreds of them. But is it any good for referencing documents or school textbooks? No, not really. Nor is it any better for comics or PDFs. Reading, that's all you can do with it. And as I said in the beginning, it's not as good as having a real book. It's more convenient than a real book. When this thing ends, and it will, I'm still going back to the library. Let me know your thoughts and also leave any book recommendations down below, and I'll go and read some. See you next time.